Hi guys, International Master Zura over here. Yesterday I played an over-the-board chess tournament. It was a rapid tournament, 15 minutes plus 10 seconds. It was a training tournament with my former university team at University of Texas at Dallas. I have not played an over-the-board tournament in a minute, so I could feel myself a bit rusty, and it showed. When you are rusty, usually your tactics struggle. And that is what I want to focus on in this video. I want to show you 3 games where tactics played crucial role in the outcome of the game. In all 3 examples, I will focus on critical moments of the game, so let's get right to it. After winning first 2 games against relatively lower rated opponents, I got to play Grandmaster Rahul. I have known Rahul for some time. He is a very strong player, Grandmaster from India, now residing in Dallas. So this is the position. I am playing with white colors. And although here position is quite interesting, I think white has an advantage only a little bit, but knight wants to get to b4, then head to c6, so he decided to simplify the matters with knight takes e4. Now what is this? This is an exchange sacrifice. Idea is after I capture back on e4, rook wants to take my knight on a2, queen takes the knight, and then queen takes e4. Now white has 2 rooks while black only has 1, but black has 2 bishops, and especially this light squared bishop wants to come to h3 and harass my light squares, and my king, as we can see, is quite exposed. So I play rook e3 to kick the queen away from this dangerous diagonal. Queen moves to d4, and now queen to d2. Computer says this is a little bit of an inaccuracy, but in a practical game, I still like this move, trying to trade off the queens. Obviously, since my king is in danger, I would love to trade queens. And also, I'm trying to defend the d5 pawn here. Queen goes to c4, and now I decided to double up rooks on the e file, lean into my strengths here, which is 2 rook, and I want to go rook e8 next move to trade one of the rooks and weaken black's king. So black continued with bishop h3, and as we see, computer says this is an inaccuracy. Why is that? I think the reason is I could immediately go rook e4, but first I start with bishop a3, and you gotta keep in mind I have about 3 minutes left on the clock around this moment, and my opponent has about 9 minutes. So he goes for bishop d4, a very tricky attempt here. Computer says that it would be better to play bishop h6, initiate this move f4, and then return back to g7 to get to d4, but probably I would try to go rook e4 here, so white still keeps the pressure here. However, he goes bishop d4. What is the idea of this move? I honestly thought that this was the blunder. I played the rook e4 quite fast here, and he goes queen to b3, attacking my bishop, but most importantly here, sneaky threat is queen to f3, and I won't be able to defend the checkmate on g2. So here, playing with the inertia, I did not stop to double check my moves, and most importantly, I did not double check my opponent's resources. That is a very big mistake, especially when you know that you are in critical moments. You want to double check active moves from your opponent, and I didn't. I failed in doing that, and reaped the benefits of it, so called. But I will suggest here to stop the video and find what are black's threats and how can white get a winning advantage here. What would be the correct move? If you did so, congratulations, you are serious about improving your chess. Now, the correct move here, we'll see in a minute, but the most natural move would probably be, hey, why don't I go queen h6 here, attacking the bishop on h3, also threatening rook h4 and trying to checkmate the black king first. all right? But the problem with this move, and as you can see, computer gives it 2 question marks, is queen to f3 anyways. And after white captures this bishop on h3, black will take on f2 with the bishop. All right, if queen takes f2, I can go king h1, and then after queen f3, queen g2, and now I win. But the problem is bishop takes f2 here, and after I'm forced to move my king to f1, let's say bishop anywhere on this diagonal would be a checkmate. So after queen f3, I resigned. Now, what would be the correct move here? Since this queen is protecting the f2 square, we do need to still kick this bishop away from h3. So then method of elimination here would lead us to rook to h4, attacking the bishop. Now obviously there's no queen f3 because I'll simply take the bishop. If queen takes a3, then I will capture this bishop on d4 and be left with a winning advantage. Now white is a clean exchange up here for a pawn, but there are no more dangers around the white king, so it should be pretty comfortable here. Let's say kick the g4 probably next, and this pawn is not going anywhere. That was a very unfortunate first game. I was quite bummed, and this was the game right before a break. We had a 1 hour lunch break in between after 3 rounds basically, because we played total of 6 games. So going into the break in this type of mood is not ideal. You hate to feel that way. But all right, now let's see what happened in the next game. Next game was also very interesting. I am playing against another grandmaster from India originally, but now going to University of Texas at Dallas, Gustav Chatterjee. I hope I pronounced that right. And let's see. There is a lot going on in this position. First, we would start by evaluating the position. Queen versus queen, 2 rooks versus 2 rooks, and 2 minor pieces versus 2 minor pieces. And the counting of the pawns here will give us an idea quickly that pawns are also equal, 7 pawns versus white's 7 pawns. There is a lot of tension in the center. Well, actually, before we get to the center, second thing after you count the material should be the king safety. Which king is safer? Now, I would argue that my king is safer here since I have the pressure along this diagonal, but can I actually make use of it from practical standpoint? Let's see. So I go f takes e5 here to release the tension in the center, and I had actually seen this idea before capturing on e5, or even I would say before playing f6. And again, I would suggest here stopping the video, figuring out what is happening in the position, calculate all the active moves, and come up with the best try for black, the best move in the position. Good job if you did that, and let's see now. So the d2 rook is defended twice with the queen and the rook. The key move here for black is to try get rid of this queen with bishop f3. Now, you may have calculated rook takes d2 here, and then maybe rook takes d2, queen takes d2, queen e4, but this runs into a few issues. Most prominently, my king is also not too safe right now without the rooks. King f7, knight d6, and I'm gonna lose a queen with the check. And also, even if white plays bishop g2, black does not have a clear win there. So bishop goes to f3, attacking the queen here. Rook takes d7. This move is pretty much forced, so white does not lose the d2 rook with a check. Now after rook d7, I cannot take the queen yet because my king is still getting mated with these rooks, so I have to capture back on d7. But now if you take rook d7, then you only have one rook, so I'll take the queen, then queen c2, and I run out of checks here very quickly with king g6. So he has to take queen f3, and the key idea here is that I have queen c2 check, attacking the king and the rook on d1. White plays bishop to g2 to block it, queen takes d1, and now we have a position where white king suddenly became safer than my king, but I do have an extra exchange. So computer still thinks that this is balanced, right about 0-0s. Queen goes to a8, rook d8, queen b7, and now white wants to take on b6 and also maybe go knight d6 to hit my f7 square. So here I go back to d7, trying to secure my 6th rank. White captured on b6, and now I felt that this knight was offside, so I bring it to c2 with the idea of going to e1 and trying to trade on g2, then weaken white's king. White played knight to d6 here to lock out the d file. I continue with knight e1, and white captures queen takes c5. I think this is a slight inaccuracy, but the next move, I think, was a critical moment in the game. Okay, now I was right in between of should I take on g2 or should I go for queen a4 first, with the idea of playing queen c2 and trying to basically pin the bishop. Okay, so is his bishop more important in offense, or is my knight more important for my offense? All right, and I actually had probably about a minute around this time, while my opponent had about 3 minutes. So not gonna lie, I took this decision quite quickly and regretted immediately. From the practical standpoint, I think this is a big mistake, because less pieces, less to calculate, all right? Especially when you are in severe time trouble. Why not just simplify and get rid of the extra headache, right? On g2. So knight takes g2 here would be giving me a very big advantage. And also thinking from the practical standpoint again, even if I fail to convert this, and first of all I shouldn't, because now rook b8 and rook b2 is coming, I would still have this queen c2 perpetual check. So getting rid of that bishop was definitely a best practical choice. Okay, I took on a4, and immediately after I played it, he goes bishop d5, and I was like, oh man, what did I do? I go queen c2 check, king h1. Not gonna lie, bishop d5 had a surprising effect on me. So here I failed to think objectively. The correct move here apparently was to keep playing offensive here. Knight d3, attack the queen. If bishop takes e6, now I can sidestep to f8, and knight does not have a discovered checks because the queen is hanging. So once queen moves away, then I will have at least the perpetual there. All right, so that's what computer thinks would be the most logical result of this position. But I was still kind of playing for the win, honestly. Although that was delusional, I played queen g6 and simply blunder f5, after which I'm just cooked. Because if I take queen g3, bishop takes here, there, knight take f7 check, knight d8, and all happens with the checks I'm getting mated. Okay. Again, unfortunate games on unfortunate games here. One tactical oversight leads to another one, and before you know it, it's gone. Right? Maintaining composure is a very important part of the performance that is very often overlooked. Okay, so consider that for critical moments, especially if you play an over the board chess. All right, I have one more game to show you. The right after I got this position with white against Arini, who is rated about 20, between 22 to 2300 basically. And she played it very well. This is the position I'm playing with white, and in the position it is black to move. First, let's evaluate the position, understand what is going on, and then we'll get to concrete action. All right? So again, we would start by counting the material. Now, queens and two rooks for both sides. I have a bishop versus black's knight on g3, and black has 7 pawns, and I also have 7 pawns. Now, which king is safer? I would say clearly black king here would be considered safer, especially considering the fact that it is black to move and they are going to play g4. All right, my king now does feel a little exposed here, especially after rook gets to the g file. So I was quite uncomfortable when she played g4 here. The point is, if I try to go queen f2 to kick this knight away, then pawn takes f3, and after I take queen g3, rook to g7, and I'm getting pinned on the g file very uncomfortably. Then rook g2, queen h3, and it's over basically. I was quite happy to find now the resource here, defensive resource, which is first probably we want to think about, can I counterattack the opponent, right? One of the prominent ways of defending. The best defense is an offense, as they say. So I go queen c6 here, attacking the a8 rook with the check, but the key point also is that the queen is defending the pawn on f3. All right, so rook moves to f8, and now I have time to go king h2 since my f3 pawn is protected. If you take on f3 or h3, I'll simply take back, and then now my rook is also ready to come to the g file, and that should give me an advantage. So after king h2, she goes for queen h4 here to defend the knight. A strong move, according to the computer apparently, would be queen g6, after which game is very unclear, and I missed this idea too. And the point is, if I take on g3, black can capture on h3 with the check, and after king h3, rook g7, and I am getting mated. g2 is threatened, and queen h5 or check on h5 is also threatened. Right, so that would be strong, but black was not able to actually find that accurate move. And after queen h4, now white should objectively be winning if I am able to defend my king. Okay, so let's see. I take on e6 here to pin the rook and basically cut this rook off the attacking. Now I'm also attacking the g4 here. If taking on f3 or h3, same thing, I take back, and then rook comes to the g file. So black plays knight retreat back to h5 to free the g3 square for the queen. I take the pawn on g4, queen goes to g3 check, and I retreat king back to h1. Now, if pawn takes g4, I would probably have taken queen g4 here, queen takes g4, pawn takes g4, and white does have double pawns, but those 2 pawns are extra. So by any means, it should be in my favor here. So seeing that, she decides to go knight g7, right? Kick my queen away from defending the g4 square. Now, I saw this move queen c4 here, which is the strongest move in the position. Idea is actually not just defending the g4. I saw, to be fair, I saw this line, and after fg4, I thought, well, yes, I can take on g4, and I should be 2 pawns up, but I have double pawns, double, like In-N-Out Burger. So I should still be up here, but I thought it could be a little tricky converting this position. So I was looking for an immediate finish kinda here, and I looked at e6, but after e6, the line I went through was rook goes to e7, and rook has to go to e7 because otherwise I'm gonna check on e7, discover check, and then take again. For example, if you play rook f2, check here, rook f7, well, I'm just going rook g8 and mate here. But yeah, if king moves on the side, for example, then I take again with the check, and you have to go back, then I take the pawn on g4, and that's basically game over. All right, here I'm up a rook. So after e6, rook e7 is pretty much forced. Then I actually looked at this line and thought that, all right, if I go rook f1, g takes h3, and that looks pretty dangerous. And the biggest mistake that a lot of players make in calculation is stopping calculating too early. And that's what I did here. I stopped calculating because I thought that after rook f8 here, I can go rook d8 check, but knight e8, and then I run out of checks. Because if I go queen f4 here, queen f4 takes on g2, and rook e6, and I'm down a pawn. But I missed a very sneaky check here, queen to f1, all right? And in my calculation, since earlier on I had rook on f1, I did not realize that now that rook was traded on f8, so now f1 square is available for my queen. So after king moves on the side here, I can take on e8, rook takes e8, queen comes to f7 with the checkmate, because this bishop is controlling the h8 square. This would be a very nice win. Honestly, I would be very happy if I saw this, but I did not. I stopped calculation too early after taking on h3 there. So for that reason, after knight g7 here, looking for an immediate win basically, or forcing win, let's say, I played queen h6, thinking that after f takes g4, I can simply go e6, kick the rook away, and if rook moves, let's say, to e7, I can play queen g5, attack the rook, attack the knight, also pin this queen. So g takes h3 is not the case here, and black is doomed. White should be winning this quite easily. So that's what I thought was happening here. But another very common mistake, when someone is coming off of a winning advantage, I only looked at my side of offensive operations here. I was trying to focus on how to win without giving black too much counterplay, but I did not consider all active moves from black, all resources. It is actually a very nice tactic, so again, I would recommend you to stop the video and spend some time on figuring out what did I miss, all right? How can black get a winning advantage here? There is a winning tactic. If you did stop the video, good job again, and correct. The winning tactic here, and I would say this tactic in general, came out of the blue. So black is basically doomed if they play passive, right? So they are looking for active moves here. What are all the active moves here? Queen takes e1, rook takes e1. This is why you want to calculate all active moves, even if it looks crazy. She finds this brilliancy, and after rook takes e1, rook f1 check, rook takes f1, rook takes f1, king goes to h2, a forced sequence here, and a very nice final touch, pawn to g3 check, forces my king to come up to g3, and then the last piece here, knight to f5, checking my king and forking the queen at the same time, and I'm just down a rook. And the worst thing is my pawn is on g2, so I can't even go back to attack the rook, so I lose the entire rook. So it made me smile during the game, honestly, and I resigned here in a few moves after, because let's say if I go king h, I tried going forward, but after knight gets back to f5 and simply back to d6, black keeps an extra rook. All right, this was the 3 examples that I wanted to show you, and I think this was the wake-up call and the reminder that everyone needs to do tactics on a regular basis, okay? Reminder, guys, to do your tactics on a regular basis. Few tactics a day keeps blunder away, all right? Good luck. I'll see you in the next one.